Okay, so we're going to talk about definitions. People have been asking or trying to define um, this thing that we're doing, this thing that we are. We've already covered the M of N and all of that. And you've got to the point now where you're going and you're restoring the rights to your assets that would have ordinarily been laundered through their lovely laundry service. And the government, pretending not to be a government, and all of its little corporations, would have just used the equity of thousands and thousands of lots of asset that's been carved up, ready to try to make as much profit in their ledger books as possible to stack up Bill Gates's and Microsoft's indemnity for the coronavirus. So there's quite a big dent in that, as some of you have been following what we've been doing, probably aware of. Now, when you go in and doing these restorations, it's so important that there is nobody else exercising the right of use of that particular asset. Council workers, okay, that can be overcome because they're on a contract and they're there. But people who are actually at the council were a little bit crafty on one situation where they'd extended the tenant's contract. The tenant had already been told to leave or have a new landlord. He chose to leave. And so the government could sell this particular farm for an offers of the region of 120,000 slave tokens. This is really what you're doing. You're stopping Bill Gates getting his hands on the equity that would ordinarily, what has been promised. It's the promise that obviously if we all buy or get sold his definition of reality, then using our assets, we would be indemnifying and underwriting our own terrorism, which is what's actually happening, and it's been happening for a very long time, obviously. And by securing that system, what you've actually, when these people come and they say, you haven't got any right to be here, or what you're doing here, or you ask, what business is it of yours? What business do you have here? You have no business here. You have no business here because you haven't got legal fiction that you've got the right of use of. We're not asking, have we got the right of use of the legal fiction? We're telling you that the legal fiction that you are attempting to use to lay this claim, to enter into a contract with your employee with, your employer with, to pay your tax with, to create a company with, all of that is secured. Your legal fiction, the company is a legal fiction, and the legal fiction system that issued the registration number of the legal fiction, all of it. It's this, the quiet title is what's secured legal fiction. So even if they give you put a piece of paper up or whatever on this particular farm, there was no date on the court paperwork. There's no time. There's no hearing set, any venue, because they can't. And so it's really what these paperwork exemplifies is that they really have the pretense is up now. They can't pretend to be having any authority whatsoever in matters such as this, because by them implying that they've got any authority, they make themselves obsolete, because their little code says that as a debtor, as a secured debtor, take a bankrupt, for example, bankrupt can't raise any credit, can't execute any orders regarding his business. He can't even get his money out of his bank account to go and pay his electricity bill, for example. He can't even pay his electricity bill once bankruptcy's actually proceedings have been served against somebody. So here you've got the corporation that you believed was your government completely secured in the same way that it would have done to you one by one as an individual if you didn't pay your mortgage, or you had company debt, or you haven't paid your council tax. And what they've done is they've made debt have the same consequences as a criminal act. And obviously that's where the definitions between what's lawful and what's legal get a bit blurred, let's say, in these people's minds. So If these people are coming and they're implying to you that you have got, normally we'd be saying, got to this point before saying, have we got the right of use? Give me the right, show me I have the right of use, and I'll use the legal fiction. Now, because we didn't have the right of use and we didn't want to use it because we knew we couldn't use that legal fiction right, because the very act of using it was breaking the law. So instead of it, what we had to do in order for a crime, to prevent a crime from being enacted, we had to secure all of that. We can't stand there and say, hey, we're here to restore your rights, but we're trespassing on other people's while we're doing this. So every restoration that you do needs to be very well thought out. What is it that you're going to do there as a community? If you have a community projection proposal to fill out, how many people do you need to make this work? What resources do you need to make it happen? What is it that we've got in our community then we can go to and say, hey guys, this is what we as a community want to see happen here. What energy and effort would you like? What kind of credits would you like to invest in this? In any way it comes. So when, imagine that they put you in the court or put persons unknown in the court. We are persons unknown. Minister of Venn is unknown in that system. Whether it's a person or not, well, okay. We are the parties, the beings that you would try to assault with your piece of paper, giving you some kind of validation. So we do have to rebut that. And we're doing it out of courtesy. So yes, we're very happy, conditional acceptance, to come along. And the paperwork that you've actually served at this property is actually going to be the evidence that is going to warrant the counterclaim for all the reasons that we already know. But in this particular instance, the precedents, we can't allow you in your indebted mindset, parties and agents of foreclosed companies to run around and continue thinking that they've got some kind of authority. So we, out of courtesy, we're coming to reserve all rights of all parties, obviously, because we're very kind. And so at that point, we're conditionally accepting their offer. They are making an offer of settlement. They're actually crying out for you to put them out of their misery. They're crying out for somebody to put an end to all of this for them as well. And as the executors of the collateral that once represented the corporation's asset, then we are really obliged to help these people settle their ledger books. So that's why we go to the court, and it's fun. And you've got an opportunity to enlighten as many people as possible to something that probably they've never even heard before. I mean, these people are, you can't get anybody with anything resembling a mind going forward and actually upholding this at that level when, the whole non-disclosure has been disclosed. They've got nothing hidden anymore. So, it's a case of all out on the table, and let's have a look at what you've got. Well, if that's what you need to play the game, well, we've got that and then some, because without us, the game just doesn't exist. And so when we talk about retiring from the legal fiction, you retired from playing that game. You've got your own game that you're playing. In order for you to begin to play your own game, you need to close the book or the game box or the lid on the game of capitalizing on your rights, because it's never going to get you anything other than terrorism as a return on that kind of investment. So that's what's been secured. And so at the point where I'm in the court and I've come into the court to put you out of your misery, to discharge liabilities, where is your assignment of consent and your authority to act? Before we go any further, first of all, before we set a precedence that a debtor can lay a claim against a secured party creditor, you need, or anybody who isn't aware of what that will do to yourselves as an organization, if you do set that precedence, then I'm obliged under the law to notify you what it is that you're getting involved with here. So yes, you might have vicarious liability, but if you're a half-wit, do you really know what that means? No. So I'm here to help you fully comprehend and consider, therefore, what it is that you're just about to accept. Now, the paperwork here, because I'm here anyway, I'm the jurisdiction of is universal law, and it comes before. You can't do anything without universal law, can you? You can't even stand there blinking and breathing. You never mind, pick up a pen and write some legal fiction code. I'll create a business, or even put your clothes on today. So universal law by default is the precedence in all and every matter that we presume as matter. And so as you haven't got an assignment of consent or the authority to act, and because we have got our trust inside universal law, and therefore you haven't got any jurisdiction of any equity whatsoever, how are you going to indemnify your actions here today? They can't. They had us underwriting our own terrorism. Our shares of the planet and its resource and the equity was there to play their game of usury upon. The periusia, the usury, the periusuria has gone. They have nothing. And so they've got an empty credit file. And then they can make their little piece of paper. We can too, because what we've actually got is the assignment of consent of legally matured beings. They've got legal minors, people who don't know about legalese and they don't know about the system. Their consent doesn't count for anything, and that's what they've been counting on all these years, is that their consent doesn't count for anything. If it did, well, it would look a lot different, because if we were really asked, are we all right with this? Then obviously the answer would be no. So here you've got a structure now, Ministry of Remedy, for want of a better word, flagship, is now what used to be known as Hillston Park. And we are accepting people's claims to discharge the liabilities that this corporate fiction system organization, Vatican Incorporation, whatever you want to call it, has caused in your life. So let's say 10 years ago they lost your house, 5 years ago they stole your car, last week they stole your pension. Then you need to put a claim together with all of the information outlining the situation, the parties involved, the creditors of which legal fictions it was, and we're going to bring some remedy into our communities, because if we don't do it, then look at what it is that we've got. If we allow these people who you can buy these people that we've had up until now, we're not for sale. You can't buy. And if you can buy the law, it's not the law. If you can buy yourself out of a ticket, then it's not it's not valid. You can't buy your way to salvage your soul. So getting everybody into these positions now, if you get asked by these people, all you need to say, you're the one asking the questions, have you got a contract with the secured party creditors? Because if you have, I'd like to see it, because right now you're not insured, because the equity that you thought that you had is sitting in another ledger book that was used to discharge part of the liability that HM government, its agents, had racked up by trying to trespass on the rights of people over 5 years. And so if you haven't got the assignment of consent, the authority to act, or a license granted to you by the secured party creditors of Her Majesty's government, then you have no business here. We haven't got a contract with you, really haven't got a contract with you, because now it really is business. When you're dealing with this at this level, it's commerce against commerce. It's going there and go, I've got my common law rights and you're trespassing on all of that. No, let's just keep it commerce, baby. You've been playing commerce. You want to play commerce? This is what it looks like. And now there's no more commerce to play, because we've taught everybody else how to play it too. So because you needed the equity to play your game of usury and you haven't got that, then what have they got? Nothing. So use what it is that you've got available now in your community. Go and meet the people who have bothered to learn what it is that you can do, and and restore your rights to the right of use of your assets. It's not difficult. As people, you don't need to make it difficult either. It's very, very simple. Just follow the steps. Go and locate what it is that is available. All of it is available because it's all held in legal fictions, as an estate agent found out last week, and it's all secured. And so you put yourself together a project proposal, send that into your community, get your community together, execute your decisions, and that is called direct democracy. Direct democracy. Go and get yourself served up some at the Hilton, at the Hilton at the Hilton Park in Monmouth.